Hello everyone, Welcome to another Modpack Overview, this time on Danokpolis. Modpack simply is a mix of tech, automation, farming, quests, and more. As well as obviously adding in a bit of adventure and a few other things. So, yeah, I assume this is mostly stuff for the server, which we'll check if that's even still available. As the second one, which I've already checked out, does have one. So yeah, there's a few tutorials showing how certain blocks work. Okay. So yeah, we'll just check out the actual content first and then we'll move to the server at the end. So you'll come across a icon on the top left that shows quests, and I assume this is mostly your goal for the most part, is quests here. So there is first chapter, second chapter, oops, which adds in arrow tool, armor and more sort of ones. You've got a few blueprints and this and the other. You've got machines and upgrades and alloys and such. You've got a bit more expansion into ore processing, as well as cabling for power, item, fluid, heat and gas. And you've got power storage and such. You've got some mob as well as some gas or fluid related, some storage and other certain stuff, so probably more challenge focused, I think, for getting certain resources. And you've got certain other ones for like acceleration of blocks, defeating certain mobs that I assume you just get after spawning in the world, and a few other things. So there's quite a bit. So we'll just go out. We've got a mini-map, got a blueprint package to probably get you started with blueprint related stuff, and there's just stuff on the side that's just got the following for, I assume, maybe what they were testing. Or just sort of to give you a hint on certain stuff, maybe. I don't know. Either way. So if we just go in here, we'll take a look, and first up we have Accelerator Craft, which adds in the ability for you to make certain. Okay, so even recipes are removed, so you have to get them through quests, so that's fine. But these will pretty much just accelerate blocks, or fish for you, or farm for you, or so on. You've got Archer's Paradox, which adds in different types of arrow types, which you can use obviously in combat. Or assisting, I guess, in the case of things like, I think converting dirt to grass, or redstone, or I think there was also a healing one and such, or blowing up the area, who knows. You've got Biomes of Plenty, which adds in different biomes, as well as wood, saplings, and more, along with certain plants. You've got boats as well, of course. You've got bonsai trees for pretty much, I think, just making a pot, and then from there you can put different saplings in and it'll drop certain resources for you, or grow it for you. I'm not too familiar with the mod, but yeah, that's my guess. You've got building gadgets, which assists with building, so you've got certain tools for like typical building and certain modes, so you can cycle between certain things for like a staircase or just sort of certain shapes of a structure. You've got certain other things like construction paste for certain tools as a requirement for some of them. You've got certain exchanging, so you can exchange, say, cobble for grass blocks, or the other way around, and also, but anyways. When building a structure, you've got a destruction tool for destroying things, and then you've got a copy paste for copying and pasting structures that you've already made. Let's see. What else is there? We've got cooking for blockheads, which adds in additional tiles, as well as an expansion to cooking with certain appliances and cabinets and such. There's obviously books to get you started on how to do certain things. In it, you've got crafting station, which is useful for obviously just keeping stuff inside the actual grid. Just cheat in here. So for example, I can put the blueprint in here and it'll stay in here when I'm crafting. You've got couriers for certain things like so, as well as adding a certain slot. So there'll be certain things from other mods you can put in here, mostly. You've got dank storage for adding in storage that's pretty much similar to a single type of material. So for example, if I had like a ton of cobble and I only wanted to store so much, and the rest I wanted to just disappear, then I can do that, which is similar to a dank null or a dev null, so I'm pretty sure. So it specializes in like one type of material. Okay, no, sorry, I forget you can do more. So you can like filter specific stuff, I'm pretty sure. I think that's what it was for. It's been a while since I've used it. There's obviously upgrades as well, you can convert from dank 1 to dank 7. You've got decorative blocks for adding in some things like panels, chains, brazier, chandelier, pillars, and more. Along with things like beams and palisades, I think that is, seats and supports. You've got thatch as well, along with doggy talents, which is just a way of obviously taming, doing a bit more with dogs. You know, feeding them certain things if they get harmed, using a charm, and so on. I'm not too familiar with it, it's been a while since I've actually used it. So, there's also some things like beds and capes and little bits and pieces as well. Got extra discs for adding in additional storage for refined storage, which we'll get into. So you've just got upgradable storage components. You've got extra golems for adding in additional golems that I assume you can create and certain other things. You've got the quest book, if you want to book form, I guess, of FTB quests, few quest lines. Got fast furnace for adding in furnaces that can work pretty well on servers, and sort of keeps doing certain smelting actions or smoking or blasting actions pretty easily without harming performance. Got global XP for an XP storage block. You've got grave for either creating for decoration or just having it where if you take damage it'll store your stuff for you and you can go back and get it instead of being all over the place. You've got industrial foregoing, adding in certain farming as well as certain other automation aspects along with fluids, upgrades and more. So you can tend to animals, slaughter animals, use their poop for fertilizer, separating babies from their parents for the sake of, you know, having them grow. Of course, mob detection and so on, conveyors and more. You've got iron furnaces for pretty much upgradable furnaces, as well as iron chests for having additional chest sizes, so additional slots, so it's obviously being transparent or blast resistant. Obviously furnaces are upgradable and they're considerable for just cooking more, I think, with like additional slots. Go higher up. Nope, so just... okay, so maybe not. Might just be that they cook faster rather than have like the ability to cook multiple things, I think. Got item filters for filtering out items in certain ways. You've got Cube.js, which is used for currency here. I assume this is part of the pack itself rather than the mod itself, because if I remember correctly it does certain other things. But yeah, I think maybe they've just programmed that in as part of the pack, I'm not sure. You've got, unless it is an economy mod, either way. You've got masonry, which adds in additional blocks to build with. You've got a ton here, such as walls. You've got different variations of certain other blocks here, particularly stones it seems. You've got mechanism for additional machines, ×5 ore processing. You've got certain other armor and tool and weapon components. You've got a jetpack for flight, using gas, specifically hydrogen. You've got different machines, you've got factories for doing either 3, 5, 7, and I think in Ultimate maybe 9 actions. Yep, seems to be that way. You've got energy storage, you've got gas, item, fluid, power, and heat to deal with. You've got plastic blocks, you've got mobs, you've got generators. I don't think tools is included in this. No, tools is also included. So there's materials there. You've got mining gadgets for adding in a gadget that can use upgrades for things like silk touch, 3x3, energy, efficiency, fortune, and more. Some magnets and such, I think, in this version. Actually, that might have been 116. You've got Nature's Compass, finding, I think, certain biomes or structures or such. Biomes. You've got Project E for adding in pretty much exchanging. So you can exchange certain materials, you can make things like higher TNT, you've got larger storage bags, on the go transport, like backpacks. You've got higher coal tiers, you've got different materials, making stuff like armor. Obviously a bunch of useful stuff for exchanging, growing crops, infinite water and lava and such, the amulets, destruction of blocks and more. You've got Quark for adding in additional blocks, as well as ores, I think mobs and a few other things. Different chests, different item frames, bookshelves, a lot of other decoration, storage, potion changes and stuff, or its own, I think. Additional enchantments, maybe. You've got RF Tools, which adds in certain upgrades for things like building or quarries. It adds in its own power systems and automated crafters. You've got force fields. You've got crafters, automatic crafting, teleporters, and I don't know if Dimensions is installed, probably not. You've got redstone components, modules for a screen if you want to display certain information, and so on. You've got refined storage for adding in additional storage, so if you want a network to store stuff, use drives as your storage components, and you can. You've got security craft for pretty much additional modules, as well as prevention of players with reinforced blocks and such. Just go through a few of these. You've got silent gear for adding in additional blocks, blueprints for tools and armor and such. There's obviously a bunch of different materials. And you can also grade the materials and more. So a bunch of bows, crossbows, tools and other things. So additional ores as well. Flowers and more. So quite a lot here. Amulets and such that give different abilities and tokens that also work. As well as I think some mobs. Yep. You've got silence mechanisms for adding in additional machines and a pump and sort of things, so you're crushing resources of ores and alloys and this and the other, storage of fluids and more. You've got simple coloured blocks for additional building options, different versions of blocks with different colours. We'll just cycle through these, it'll probably take up quite a bit of the pack. We've got solar panels if you need additional ones there, with upgrades as well. You've got soul shards respawn, which is just the ability to pretty much have a spawner that can specifically spawn type of mob, as well as you arm a lot of them with a sword. There's also certain upgrades to assist with that. You've got speedy hoppers for speedier hoppers, as well as speedy ladders for obviously getting up ladders quicker. You've got Spice of Life for changing certain aspects of hunger, storage drawers for additional storage, specializing in like one particular material. So if I had a ton of cobble, it could store a ton of that, or if I wanted cobble and wood planks, I could store multiple of those, but obviously up to 4 stacks for that one, for example, compared to 32 of only cobble. You've got time travel for adding in time travel aspects. I'm not too familiar with it, but that's in certain other aspects there. Titanium for just certain components. Torchmaster for additional lighting options. Useful backpacks for backpacks and storage on the go, of course. And then we have dot hack weapons for additional weapon options. Wither skeleton tweaks for additional weapons and certain tweaks to wither skeletons. And I think that is everything. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye. Actually, there is a server, so we'll see if we can get this to a server. And the server may or may not still be active. Oh, come on. There we go. Now I don't know if you had to get whitelisted or not, but probably check on their page via their Discord link and such, of course. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.